Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something really fundamental, I think, for, well, business leadership, even just life, really. It's this question: why do some organizations, some leaders, achieve this incredible, scalable, lasting success? While others, just as smart, just as funded maybe, they just fizzle out.
Yeah, it's a great question. And the sources we've looked at today offer a pretty clear, maybe even provocative answer. They argue pretty strongly that real success, the kind that lasts and builds deep trust, it doesn't start with what you do or even how you do it.
Right, it starts somewhere else.
Exactly. It starts with why. Your purpose, your core belief, the reason you get out of bed in the morning, basically.
Okay, so our mission today is to get practical with this. We want to move past purpose as just, a buzzword. We're looking for real examples of how actually having that conviction, not just the skills or the product,
Mm.
really drives value. How articulating that why changes how people behave, who they hire, the whole shebang.
And there's this initial insight from the material that kind of sets the whole thing up nicely. It's the idea that when you can actually put your WHY into words, clearly articulate it, it gives this emotional context to all the rational stuff. So your confidence shifts, right? It goes from, I think this is the right move, to, I know it is. It's a feeling.
And the what's and HOWs, the rational bits?
They become the proof. They back up that feeling.
Okay, let's talk about that feeling because, yeah, we've all had that gut instinct, haven't we? You look at a potential client, a partnership, whatever, and logically they seem perfect, ticking all the boxes, but something just feels off.
Right. And the real headache, especially in business, is when you can't explain why you feel that way. You can't rationalize walking away from, say, a big contract based on a hunch.
Yeah, I remember reading about your old business partner getting really frustrated when you guys turned down work because the client didn't feel right.
Hmm.
Because from their perspective, it just looked like you were throwing away good money.
Exactly. Turning down, potentially $1 million because of a vibe. It sounds reckless, doesn't it? To partners, to shareholders. But the sources argue if you've got that clearly stated WHY, let's use their example, to inspire people to do the things that inspire them, then the whole conversation changes.
Oh, so becomes less about the money.
Precisely. It acts like a filter. Suddenly, saying no to that $1 million client isn't really a debate about the immediate cash. It becomes a discussion about consistency, about alignment. Is this short-term gain worth potentially compromising our core belief? Bringing someone into our ecosystem who just doesn't get it, or worse, works against it.
Okay. And that's where the scalability might come in too, right? Because if everyone, not just the CEO, understands that core WHY, they can make those kinds of strategic calls on their own, lower down the chain.
Yes. Decentralized decision making, all aligned with the purpose. The goal shifts. It stops being let's do business with anyone who wants our stuff and becomes let's focus on finding and working with people who believe what we believe.
And that selectivity,
Yeah.
that's the pathway to trust.
That's what the research suggests. When your actions consistently back up your stated belief, that's where genuine trust starts to emerge.
But trust in business often gets confused with just competence, right? Like they
Yeah.
delivered on time, they did what they promised.
Yeah.
But you can have that and still not really trust them.
Absolutely, because trust, fundamentally, it's a feeling. It's not a checklist item. You can do all your responsibilities perfectly, and people still might not feel that deep sense of trust. The material points out, and there's some brain science here too, apparently, that trust really kicks in when we sense an organization or a person is driven by more than just their own
The
self-interest.
limbic brain thing, reacting to purpose.
Yeah, that primitive part of our brain that handles feelings like loyalty and trust. It responds to consistency and perceived purpose, not just, spreadsheets and performance metrics.
So the rational stuff, the what's and HOWs, the product quality, the service delivery,
Hmm.
that's the evidence, the proof.
But the actual decision to trust, that's happening on an emotional level. It's a gut feeling backed by evidence.
Okay, so there's like a formula here.
Kind of. The
Yeah.
sources lay it out quite powerfully. Value is basically the transference of trust. And you earn that trust by communicating your WHY clearly and consistently, and then proving it with your actions, your results.
Right, let's see this in action then. The Continental Airlines turnaround in the 90s.
Yeah.
That seems like a massive case study for this. It
Yeah.
wasn't just tweaking things, it was a total overhaul.
Oh, absolutely. A complete phoenix from the ashes situation. You look at Continental in the 80s, early 90s, it was a disaster zone. 10 CEOs in a decade, 2 bankruptcies. The culture was described as toxic, deep employee distrust, managerial neglect. Just awful.
And there was that analogy, the mud rolls down a hill one.
Yeah, vivid, isn't it? If leadership treats employees badly, that negativity just flows downwards. Employees treat customers badly, and the customer at the bottom gets the worst of it.
And it started right at the very top, with the CEO before the turnaround, Frank Lorenzo. Sounds like he operated from pure paranoia.
It really does. Locking down the executive floor, needing key cards just to get near the bosses, armed guards, in the office corridors. Apparently, he wouldn't even drink a soda unless he opened the can himself. It's hard to build trust when you're radiating that level of suspicion.
Wow. Okay, so then 1994, Gordon Bethune comes in, and his focus wasn't immediately on, like, new planes or routes.
No, his first focus was the people, the culture. He shared that belief, which was seen as almost heretical at the time, championed by Herb Kelleher at Southwest.
Look after your employees first. The logic being, happy employees lead to happy customers, and then you get happy shareholders, in that specific order.
So what did he actually do? He started by tearing down the symbols of distrust. Got rid of the locked 20th floor, the security cameras pointed inwards. He instituted a genuine open-door policy. He basically just started treating people like valued adults and gave them something positive to rally around, a shared purpose, beyond just surviving another day at Continental.
But the masterstroke seems to be how he connected that purpose to performance, that $65 bonus thing.
Ah, yes. That was brilliant. So Continental was bleeding money, like $5 million a month, partly because their planes were always late. It was a huge operational problem.
Okay.
So Bethune makes this announcement to all 40,000 employees. If the airline as a whole ranks in the top 5 for on-time performance among major carriers that month, every single employee gets a separate check for $65.
$65 doesn't sound like life-changing money.
It wasn't about the amount, necessarily. It was the symbolism and the focus. First, it was a metric everyone could influence, right? From baggage handlers to pilots to gate agents, everyone played a part in getting planes out on time. It stopped the internal blame game. Second, it focused everyone on one clear, winnable goal.
And sending it as a separate check.
Crucial. It wasn't just buried in their regular paycheck. It was a distinct thing, a tangible symbol that said, "We won together." And the check literally had a message printed on it thanking them for making Continental one of the best. It reframed their work. They weren't just clocking in. They were part of a team trying to win.
And it actually worked financially.
Massively. It cost them maybe $2.5 million a month in bonuses, but they saved $5 million a month by improving on-time performance. So a huge net gain plus this incredible cultural boost. They felt like winners, and they knew why they were winning.
That sense of shared identity, that winning culture,
Mm.
that leads us right into hiring, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If your company has that strong WHY, then recruitment has to be different. It can't just be about ticking skill boxes.
Exactly right. Organizations at their core are cultures. They're groups of people united by shared beliefs and values. You thrive, you feel like you belong, where you're a good fit culturally. So the goal isn't just finding someone who can do the job, but finding someone who believes in why the job needs doing. They'll bring more than just skills. They'll bring passion.
And the sources gave that amazing Shackleton example, the ad for the Antarctic expedition.
Oh, it's legendary. You compare that to a typical job ad today, right? Marketing manager wanted, need 5 years experience, must know Salesforce, HubSpot, blah, 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 great pay, benefits. It's all about the what.
Shackleton's ad.
It just threw all that out.
Completely. It was brutally honest about the what, but it screamed the WAY.
Men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return, doubtful.
Wow. Doesn't exactly sell it, does it?
Not in the conventional sense, but then the kicker, honor and recognition in case of success. Think about who would actually apply to that. Only people who were intrinsically drawn to extreme challenge, who believed in the spirit of exploration above all else. They were self-selecting for resilience and belief.
So when things went horribly wrong, when the Endurance got trapped and crushed by the ice,
They survived. Every single one. No mutiny, no breakdown of order, because they were all there for the same fundamental reason, the same belief. They were pre-filtered for the WHY.
Southwest Airlines is another example of this, right? Herb Kelleher's philosophy.
You don't hire for skills, you hire for attitude. You can always teach skills. Famous line. But the material pushes deeper. Which attitude? What kind of attitude fits your WHY?
And Southwest apparently found their answer, kind of by accident, with the uniform.
Yeah, back in the 70s, they introduced these, let's say, of their time, uniforms for flight attendants. Hot pants, go-go boots. And apparently the only people applying for the job were cheerleaders and majorettes. Seriously. But think about it. What's the core attitude of a cheerleader or a majorette? It's optimism. It's enthusiasm. It's leading a crowd, getting them excited, making them believe we can win.
And Southwest's whole WHY was about being the fun, accessible airline, the champion of the common person.
Exactly. So these cheerleaders, their natural disposition, perfectly matched the company's core belief and culture. It was this accidental, perfect alignment of attitude and WHY.
So it confirms that idea. Don't just hire skilled people and try to motivate them.
Hire already motivated people, people motivated by the right things, and then inspire them by connecting them to a cause, to your WHY.
Okay, that distinction, motivation versus inspiration, seems key. Let's dig into that. The analogy of the two stonemasons.
Right. Classic illustration. You have two guys side by side doing the exact same job, laying stones. Hard, monotonous work under the hot sun. The what is identical.
You ask the first guy if he likes his job.
But he says, nah, it's just a job, pays the bills, but it's backbreaking, I hate it. He's motivated purely externally by the paycheck.
Then you ask the second guy. Same job.
And he says, I love my job, I'm building a cathedral. Same what? Totally different WIs. That sense of purpose transforms the work. He's inspired, he's going to be more engaged, more loyal, probably do better work, and less likely to leave for a small raise elsewhere because he feels part of something bigger.
And we see this play out in bigger historical examples too, like the race for the first airplane, Langley versus the Wright brothers.
A perfect contrast. Samuel Pierpont Langley, on paper, he had it all. The guaranteed recipe for success.
Yeah, massive government funding, $50,000, which was huge back then. Connections to the most powerful people, Carnegie, Alexander Graham Bell, best materials, top university minds working for him.
He had the perfect what and how W. But his WHY, it was apparently pretty superficial. He wanted to be first. He wanted to be rich and famous. It was about the outcome for him personally.
Then you have the Wright brothers over in Dayton, Ohio.
Complete opposite. Total recipe for failure by conventional standards. No government money, no fancy functions, no college degrees. Just two brothers funding their dream out of the profits from their bicycle shop.
But their WHY
Was unshakable. They believed the flying machine would change the world. They were driven by that possibility, that potential impact. It wasn't about fame or fortune for them initially.
And you saw the difference in how their teams worked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Wrights' small team was totally bought into the dream. They were prepared for failure because they believed in the ultimate goal. The sources mentioned they'd bring like 5 sets of parts for test flights because they knew they'd crash and need to rebuild and try again. It was part of the process, driven by the belief.
Langley, though,
Yeah.
his motivation was tied to the external validation.
Seems so. When his big public test flight failed, plunged into the Potomac River, and the newspapers ridiculed him, what did he do? He quit, gave up. He had all the resources to try again, to learn from the Wrights' eventual success even, but his WHY wasn't strong enough. The moment the anticipated what, the fame, the glory disappeared, his motivation vanished too.
It's such a clear illustration. Okay, so wrapping this up, we've gone from, paranoid CEOs and armed guards to cheerleaders in hot pants and early aviation failures. But it all seems to circle back to this core idea. Purpose, the WHY, isn't just a nice to have. It's fundamental for building something that lasts.
Right. Great companies, great leaders, they don't just motivate with carrots and sticks. They hire people who are already motivated, maybe intrinsically, and then they inspire them by connecting them to a cause, a belief that's bigger than the task itself.
And when you get that alignment, the WHY, the HOW, and the what, all working together, all in balance.
That's the sweet spot. That's where you get consistency, where trust really builds, where the culture strengthens and becomes resilient. And knowing your own WHY, personally, it acts as that filter too. It helps you attract the people, the opportunities that genuinely align with what you believe.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Thinking back to that incredible Shackleton ad, if you had to write an honest job ad for your own purpose, for your personal WHY, what belief would you be recruiting people to follow? What's the hazardous journey you're inviting people on, and what's the honor and recognition they get if you succeed together?